That's a vibe. Wanna vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah. That's a vibe. It's a vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah. That's a vibe.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Retro. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Look at him, man. We want you guys to keep it locked. Don't you dare touch that down. You already know it is in the background. You guys can keep it loose. You'll be with us on this coming Monday at 8 p.m. We're going to sit down. We're going to chop it up. We're going to talk about motorcycle. We're going to talk about motor mob. We're going to talk about a whole lot. You got to make sure you tune in for this show, okay? But today we want to talk about something a little different. We want to talk about health and wellness, all right? So we're going to take care of a few commercial breaks and get right back at you. Get into the show, chop it up. You already know what it is. The telephone number is 980-222-4492. I need to hear from you on today because we want to talk about we want to talk about health and wellness. Keep it locked in. Don't you dare touch that down. It's your boy Retro on today.
It's a vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah. That's a vibe.
So you're a philosopher? Yes. Good evening, good morning, good night, good day. It's your boy Retro. Thank you for pressing play.
Somebody lift up a shout to the Lord. Yeah.
So
Shout out to Retro Philosophy Show. This is your boy Sammy Medal. So follow him. You don't know. Boom. Boom.
I think very deeply.
Say, man, you know what it is, man. Special guest in the building. Much love and respect to my man Retro stopping through, y'all. Y'all know what to do.
Big Cell. You still keeping it 100.
Sheldon, start up the mic then. We start up the mic them now. Sheldon, start up the mic then. We are gonna crank up the mic them now.
No one knows my struggle. They don't know my trouble.
So you're a philosopher? Yes. I think very deeply.
It's the Retro Philosophy Show. Go on and
Yes,
tell
indeed.
everybody you know.
Thank you, Lottie Dottie. Thank you, Lottie
Yo,
Dottie.
what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Lottie Dottie. And I'm in the building hanging out with Retro. Keep it locked.
Yo, how y'all doing on this morning, man? This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Look at him, man. When you come on in, say what's up to your boy. Hit me up in the comment section. Show me some love. Also, hit the share button, man. You might have somebody that needs to hear this that I wasn't able to reach, and therefore together we can reach more people. So go ahead and hit that share button. You already know what it is. It's the whole, social media world. Y'all know how that stuff works, man. Y'all smarter than I am. But check it out, man. Today we want to talk about health. And we want to talk about wellness, okay? And I really, again, the telephone number is at the bottom of the screen right there. Boom, 980-222-4492. Hit me up, holla at me real quick. And because we are living in a day where people are doing all kinds of things to present themselves a particular kind of a way. But sometimes it's at the cost of their health. Sometimes we are so busy grinding, right? Till we're not getting the proper sleep. We're not getting the proper rest. And as a result, man, things get out of whack. And when you was in your teens and in your 20s, it was one thing for you to, I can think back to I'm about to date myself for my folks out of the field up there in Springfield, Massachusetts. Shout out to my homies up there, my homies up there. You already know what it is. But back in the day, there was this place that we used to frequent called Bonnie's and Clyde's. OMG, Bonnie's and Clyde's, man. We would get up there, we would do our thing. We would get over to the waterfront. Oh, you cannot leave the waterfront out. Oh, we would get up there and we would have ourselves a ball, man. And then there was El Pariso. It used to be Profiles back in the day, but when I came around, during my era, it had been changed to El Pariso, and I'm not even gonna go there. But anyway, that was the spot. But what's my point? My point was these were spots that we frequent as youngsters, as we was out there in them streets, thugging it and everything. And I could remember not getting sleep. And in some cases for days, I'm talking about like 2 and 3 days, just out bleaching, And then there was a certain type of activity that I participated in during the wee hours of the night, so that added to that. We would leave the club, we would go and do our thing throughout the rest of the night, and it was bananas, as they would say, right? But I was in my teens. And what am I saying? When you're young, there are some things that you can do that you cannot do as you age. Come on now, don't look at me with that tone of voice, please don't. Because see, here's the thing, man. Age is coming for you. Yeah. Old Father Time, he's coming for you. I don't care how pretty you is. I don't care how ugly you is. I don't care how rich you is. I don't care how poor you is. Old Mother Time, old Granddaddy Time, he's coming for you. I'm not wearing my beard anymore. I shaved it off the other day, and now it's coming back grayer than ever, and so I buzzed her down again today, but it's okay. I'm not afraid of the gray. I'm just saying, because I'm gonna let it grow out. But what I'm saying is that gray hair, that's letting yeah, you okay. So there were some things that we could do when we were younger that we cannot do now, okay? And for us to continue doing some of the things that we used to do, it's gonna tear your body apart. Not only can it potentially tear your body apart, it'll tear your mentals apart. Yeah, it will begin to affect you mentally, and in a couple ways. Number one, I was looking at Steve Harvey this morning. He's on this. He's got these greens or whatever that he's doing, these drinks and stuff. And I heard a comment pop up. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Latoya is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. I am honored to have this woman of God on the broadcast on this morning. What's going on, Latoya? I hope all is well with you and yours. But she says facts, real facts. And thank you, Latoya, for pressing play and joining us on this morning. And but when we were younger, girl, you already know what it is. We could do a lot of things that we are no longer able to do. Let's see here. God bless you all, my brothers and sisters. Hey, Richard, how you doing, sir? Let's make some noise for Richard Blackwell. He's in the building. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up. Real proper. You know how we like to do it here on the Retro Philosophy Show. We like to show love and conversate in the comment section and all that good stuff. But we appreciate everybody, one and all. So what was I saying? So we would get out there. We would do things. Look at Richard and his beautiful wife. Look at them. Oh, man. They look so cute right there, man. I like that little picture there, man. I like that. I see. Let's make some more noise for Richard and his bride. My goodness. Okay, so we would do certain things and, we would go without rest and everything, but we were younger then, okay? But I think I was getting ready to make the point about how it can affect us mentally. And so absolutely it will affect us mentally. And more than one way. One of the ways it will affect us mentally is that, we sometimes don't want to come to grips that we can no longer do what we used to do. And here's the dangerous part about it. Many of us, we find our identity in the things that we do. Yeah. So if you are no longer able to do what you find your identity in, when it goes away or when it begins to diminish, man, your ego takes a beating. I mean, I tell you, it will mess with you mentally because you are so tied to what you used to do. And so when someone says, who is Minister Evans? Minister Evans, God bless you, woman of God. Thank you for pressing play. She's not going to tell you what kind of job she does. She's going to tell you about the woman of God she is. Okay. And so we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, what we do does not identify us. Come on now. I am not, who was it? Jill Scott, was it? Or was it India Irie? One of them said, I am not my hair. And so if you are identified by your hair, then when it stuff starts to go bald, then man, look here. Let me. Can I have a transparent if I can learn to talk? Can I take a transparent moment? Y'all mind if I don't know. Y'all ready for a transparent moment? We are talking health and wellness, right? India Irie, that's who it was. I am not my hair. Come on now. And Richard says, say it louder for those in the back. And so I'm not my hair. So since you guys are talking to me this morning, I'm going to talk back to you and have a transparent moment. Okay, Latoya said, go, sir. Go, sir. Okay. Now, y'all know, look at my picture there. Hold on. Let me get this out the way real quick here. I don't know why it should be in the background anyway, but anyway, let me do this. As a matter of fact, I'll do this. Y'all excuse me while I talk to myself. We're having a business meeting real quick, y'all, and it's rude to butt in, so y'all don't butt in right now, okay? I'm just talking to myself. Okay, I got that done. Okay, so what was I about to say? Y'all see my picture right there? Boom. Nope, not right there. Right there. Okay, yeah. I got my little curly mustache. I still got my little curly mustache. A transparent moment. I'm just gonna be honest. This is all I got left of my beard. Okay. Now I told you a little while ago about the grays because I wasn't gonna try to tell you all my business, but I didn't slip into a transparent moment. Okay. So I was picking my beard out one day. No, matter of fact, I was scratching my beard one day, just doing one of these numbers, and I felt something real smooth. And I said, wait a minute, it's supposed to be all hair right up in there, and I go, and it was real smooth. I mean, like baby bottom smooth. And I'm just like, I'm tripping now. So I go to looking, and I had this big old spot right here. Yo, that's why I ain't wearing my beard, because I got frustrated because I had this big old spot right here. I had one right here. I had one right here. I had one. And I'm like, what the mess? And I was like, babe. Look at this, and I had this big old bald spot. And I said, man. And so I just got frustrated, and I just buzzed it all off, right? Thinking, well, maybe it'll grow back. Well, a couple of weeks went by, and it was still smooth as can be. And so then it started growing back, and then you could really see the spots. When I had the beard, it was kind of disguised, And so I noticed now it's still smoother than I want it to be, but it is starting to grow back. But it's growing back fully gray. And the spots that came out, all you can see is baby grays popping up, And so transparent moment, right? And so imagine if my identity was wrapped up in my beard. I mean, because some guys, they're so proud of their beards, man. They go out, and some of them jokers, you rub your fingers through it, you mess around and find some of them got fake beards and stuff like that. And then we were going through the whole time where everybody was growing out their beards, and they had patches here and there. And I was like, good Lord, not everybody is, but anyway, I digress. And so there are some people who, if they were to lose their beard, if they were to lose their hair, they would lose their identity. My beard is not my identity. This broadcast is not my identity. I am who God has made me to be, And so when we begin to lose the very thing that identifies us, it will mess with you mentally. Okay. Now I'm being extremely transparent, so I'll give you another example of when your boy had I had my identity in the wrong things. Let's see here. Richard says my beard raised for a homeless shelter last April, and I let them shave it. Now that's what I'm talking about. $600. That's what I'm talking about, man. That is beautiful, man. That's beautiful. I wish my beard would grow like yours, Richard. I do. I really do, man. I wish it would, man. But it won't. It gets to a certain spot, and then that's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it. But we're gonna give it a go, and because I do appreciate my beard, and I do miss my beard. Again, it's not my identity, but Lord knows I do miss it. And when it does grow back, you can already see some of the grays and everything, man. And and these little spots here, it's just, you can't really see it as good on the screen. But Yeah, it's gonna be gray, but I'm gonna work with it. It's okay. So what was I saying? So years ago, when I started my first business, all right, I was 17 years old and I was very proud. I opened a business in Indian Orchard, Massachusetts, 1279 Worcester Street, Indian Orchard, Mass. And the name of the store was Hotspot Variety. I was 17 years old. I was still going to Commerce High School. I think I was in my last year of high school then. And so boom, we opened up this little store, and I'm doing well. I'm doing exceptionally well for a young entrepreneur. And there was a store about a block and a half that way and about a block and a half the other way. And so here, this young kid is in the middle of these two thriving stores, trying to, carve his way in this entrepreneurial venture, right? And by God's grace, I was doing pretty good. I now know in retrospect that, the hand of God was all on it. I didn't yield to God as I should have, but that's a whole nother show for a whole nother time. My point is simply this: when I refused to see God when He was trying to show Himself to me, God said, "Okay," and He began to close certain doors. Guess what? Along with some of those doors, the store was involved. Okay, and that was the process when God was trying to get my attention, when He was drawing me, but I was refusing. He told Saul, He said, "It's hard for you to kick against the pricks." And I know firsthand that it is extremely difficult to kick against the pricks. Okay. And so when I saw that there was nothing else I could do to save this little business, I switched to plan B, sold out to a gentleman who had a car lot up the street from where the store was. And so I didn't lose everything. I still was able to, get something out of the whole deal, not to mention the experience, which was priceless. But I slipped into depression. I was about maybe 18 at the time now, and I slipped off into a level of depression. Why? Because my identity was wrapped up in that store, Hotspot Variety Store. I never forget the day I opened for business, man. I was peacock proud. I was just so, we did this because it was me at the time, my girlfriend, she's now my wife, Shelly. It was me, Shelly, my little brother Marcus, my homeboy Mark, also known as Ishi, and literally it was the four of us. It was the four of us. We would leave school, and we would head over to the shop, and we would be working to get it together, get it ready to open and everything. Boom, opening day comes, and we doing our thing. Big ups to my uncle Nate. He's no longer with us, but he helped hold me down while I was going to school in the morning. He would run the morning shift. I would get down there, get open. Uncle Nate would come down there. He would hold me down, and I get to school. Couldn't wait to get out of school so I can get back to the shop because it was what it was, right? And so now the store, I have no choice. It's either lose it or sell it. Come on, man. I mean, you put one and two together, right? You come up with five, right? And so I decided to sell it. The dude had already been reaching out to me and saying, nah, man, I'm good. I'm good. Nah, I wasn't good. So I had to sell. Okay. And man, I tell you, I couldn't even go down that street. It took a while for me to even go back down that street because every time I would go down there, it was a reminder of a major failure. My identity was wrapped up in the wrong thing. Okay. And it wasn't until God began to show me some things. By this time, I had given my life to the Lord, and see, here's what many of us need to understand. I know you saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled. You got Jesus on your side, and you're running for your life, and and all this and that. You got baptized in the River Jordan, on the third Sunday, and whatever. But there are some things that we still need to be delivered from. Yeah, I'm talking about past memories, past experiences, past failures. I know the Bible says, "Behold, old things have passed away, and all things are become new." But trust me and believe me, there are some things, and we were talking about this last night during Bible study. If you did not catch our live last night, please do so. Go on over to our church's Facebook page, Upper Praise Ministries Mooresville, and you can still catch a copy of it on my page as well. But we were talking about how the fact that there are some things that we've got to be delivered from. Okay. And again, we get saved, but we do not get amnesia, okay? And there are things that transpired, there are things that happen, right? And even though we may not be practicing what we once practiced, but we have still yet to denounce it. It's the equivalent, ladies and gentlemen, of you being separated from your husband or from your wife, right? You're separated from your spouse, but you have not yet been divorced. And so you go out there and you find Mr. Right, you go out there and you find Mrs. Right. Guess what you're doing? You're committing adultery. I know that you say the relationship is over, but you're still technically married. You have not yet denounced that marriage, okay? And so, so it is even in life. There are things that we may not no longer practice, but we still haven't denounced it. We still haven't closed that chapter, if you will. And so it could present problems as we try to go forward. And so the Lord took me back to that moment. He took me back to that time, and literally began to heal me. And to this day, I was just up there back in October, and to this day, ladies and gentlemen, when I tell you that that store is still up and running, it's still up and running. And so I was looking at it all wrong, and I didn't plan to go here today. Certainly didn't plan on getting up here and being so transparent, but. So the store is still running, it's still opening, and I was looking at it all wrong. I was looking at it as though I had failed, right? But in all actuality, the vision is still going forward. The reason why God had to separate me from the vision was because he needed me to acknowledge him. He needed me to reverence him, and I did not do that. Okay. The Bible says, choose you this day who you will serve. We cannot serve God and mammon. Look at here. Let me tell you this. God don't got a problem. God does not have a problem with you getting the bag. He does not have a problem with you making the money. He just got a problem when you put the money before him. He's got a problem when you begin to worship what you have instead of using what you have as a tool. Thank you, Kodak, for the share, boss, man. Appreciate you, man. You are the man. Ladies and gentlemen, saints and nates, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, give it up for Kodak, the true brown pounder. Yes, sir. Listen here, Mr. Kodak. We got to get you on the Retro Philosophy Show sooner than later. And I know what you're saying right now. Let's make it happen, Captain. And we're gonna do that. We're gonna make it happen. Okay. Been thinking about you, and I got a beautiful show that I want to do with you. So we'll be in touch with you, sir. And so the store is still running, and I never forget when the Lord just showed it to me. He said, "Look, son, I had to take it from you because you were gonna allow this thing to take you in the wrong direction." When I gave my life to the Lord, and the Lord finally, healed me from that hurt, because I was hurting. I was hurting. See, when your identity is in the wrong thing and it begins to be taken away from you, or it comes to a close, man, you'll be all kind of hurt. You'll be all kind of hurt. That's why I'm so glad, my motorcycle, I enjoy it. I got a shirt. I wish I'd have known I was going to go here. I'd have had this shirt so I could show it to you. But it says, I get joy. What does it say? Something along, I enjoy riding my motorcycle, but the joy of the Lord is my strength. That's what it says on the t-shirt. And then I've got the scripture and everything. And so what's my point? As much as I enjoy getting on old Ruby Red and just riding out, it's not my identity. There are some people, if they don't have that patch on their back, they're nobody. And I'm not even going to go there because my platform is really not but it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. And so shout out to everybody that are being stand-up people, even when they're not in the midst of the crowds. Okay. So my identity was, I was a young 17-year-old, my first level of success. And I thought I was doing pretty good for a young kid coming from the hood, and I was. But God never intended for our successes to be our identities. You know why? Can I tell you why? If I got let's see here, I got a few folks still with me. Should I tell them why, y'all? I guess so. Listen here, we were not created in the image of our business. We were not created in the image of our motorcycle, our car. He said we were created in his image and in his likeness. So our identity ties to who he is. Our identity is wrapped up in who he is, not the things that we and again, I hate to sound like I'm being repetitive, but on last night, I guess what I'm saying is you got to go back and catch the video from last night's Bible study. King Nebuchadnezzar. And there are others that we can use for examples, but we'll start with King Nebuchadnezzar. One day he looks out over his kingdom and he begins to praise himself for what he has accomplished and acquired. Bad move. Bad move. He was driven out into the wilderness until he would recognize that God still ruled in the kingdom of man. Never, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including my homegirl Lottie Dottie, never let what you do become your identity. You see, if my motorcycle was my identity, somebody could steal it and I'd be lost. But it's not my identity. Y'all know I ride a Harley Davidson, right? But I'm not sold out. I mean, shoot, next one just might be that Indian. I'm just saying, because I'm not wrapped up in the identity of a particular culture or movement. I'm created in his image and in his likeness, and I repeat, I must be spirit-led. And to be spirit-led means God may say, you know what? No more Harley. And I'll be like, hold on, Lord, is that, I make sure I'm hearing from the Lord now. But if he says that, then guess what? Yes, Lord, and amen. Because when we are following the leading of God, first of all, if you be willing and obedient, the Bible says you shall eat the good of the land. But I've also found out that being willing and obedient many a times mean you don't even have to do what you were willing and obedient to do. I'm just saying, we see that example with Abraham, right? God tells him to take his only son, his only son of promise, because he did have Ishmael, and it's possible he had others as well, but only Ishmael and Isaac were mentioned. But anyway, he was told to take him up on the mountain. I believe it was Mount Moriah, and he was to sacrifice him. He had the wood, he had the sharp knife, and he says, "Me and the lad are going to worship, and we shall return." And the son asks a question, I see the wood, but Daddy, where's the sacrifice? And Abraham said, the Lord shall provide. You got to watch folk when they get deep on you. They might have other, but they get up on the mountain, man. And sure enough, man, Abraham ties him down. He's got that knife in the air, and God speaks and says, do the lad no harm. There's a ram in the thicket, So he was willing, but because he was willing and obedient, he didn't have to. He was willing. He was getting ready to, but he didn't have. Y'all missed that, man. Y'all missed that. It wasn't even deep. Sometimes God is testing us. Sometimes he's testing us. And if we are willing to obey him, then many a times of everything he's requiring of us, we won't even have to sacrifice. Yeah. Okay, let me move on. So we're supposed to be talking about health and wellness. And so when we talk about health, health has everything to do with our body physically and everything like that. But when we talk about wellness, some people are healthy, they're medically healthy, if you will, but they're not well. In other words, there's no, they don't have cancer, they don't have high blood pressure, they don't have diabetes, they don't have this, they don't have that, but they're just not well, internally. And so the Bible says this: what profit a man that gain the whole world and loses? So notice I know what I'm saying is health and wellness, right? A lot of times we talk about health and wealth. But I want to talk about health and we've got to realize that as we mature and as we get older, certain things change in our bodies, regardless of whether you want it to or not, whether you're ready or not. Some things will change, okay? And so sometimes we must be proactive, okay? Certain foods we should begin to watch, or I should say, limit ourselves to. Because we could be, in the words of the wonderful Perlina Brown, we could be giving the devil a stick to beat us with. Yeah, she was a Sunday school superintendent at the church I grew up in, back home, and I never forget, one day she pulled me aside and she said, "Brother Sheldon, don't give the devil a stick to beat you with." And I'm sitting there, I'm looking at her because she was a real short lady. She's a short lady, she is, and I'm looking at her, I'm like, okay, and I didn't quite understand that in its entirety, because it was a weird piece of advice at a weird time. So it seemed. But here's the thing with I was gonna say old people, but here's the thing with mature people, people who are mature in God. A lot of times they will watch before they talk. They will observe before they begin to speak on a matter. And apparently, she had been observing me as it pertained to a few things, and so she told me that one day, and I'll never forget it. And it was wise advice. Don't give the devil a stick to beat you with. And as life went on, I learned, or I should say, as life went on, what that meant to me, or what that means to me is, sometimes we can avoid certain conflict. Sometimes we can avoid certain issues, and by just walking circumspectly, by walking in wisdom. Paul said everything that's lawful is an expedient. So you think just because you were right that you had to say something, and that's not necessarily the case. I can't get no help up in Mount Nebo on today. So let me just keep it moving. All right. And and so we've got to make sure we're not giving the devil a stick to beat us with. You can't go to the buffet and then sit down and say, "Come on, let's bow our heads and say the grace. Lord, don't make these chitlins make me fat. Take out the fat qualities and leave the good taste qualities, Lord Jesus. Amen." Listen here, that ain't gonna work. You giving the devil a stick to beat you with. A gentleman said something to a lady one time. He says, "You are digging your," he said, "You're digging your own grave one spoon at a time." She was a heavy lady. She was, and she was getting bigger. And he told her, "You are digging your grave with a spoon." Ooh, wow. But when you think about it, there was a lot of truth to it. Some of us, we get to a place where our health is so bad, um, but really, who do we have to blame? I can't lay awake at night, drinking Pepsis and Dr. Peppers, and or drinking, I should say, and eating Twizzlers and Jujubes and Cheetos and Doritos, and then wonder why my stomach ain't right every morning. Well, you just gave the devil a stick to beat you with, man. You set yourself up for failure. And how many of us have been setting ourselves up for failure? I've got this thing about keeping it real. And as I talk about keeping it real, I try to caution people not to keep it real stupid, because sometimes we set ourselves up for more problems. I would tell my kids all the time, especially my son, because I was more fearful for him as a young black man in America. But when you get pulled over, I would always tell them, you cannot win the argument on the side of the road. If you sitting there talking about you going back and forth with that officer, you're giving the devil a stick to beat you with. And the stick is going to manifest in the form of that baton that officer wears. If you're lucky, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that we've got to, we there are some situations that we can avoid. This has been a couple years ago. I forget which public murder took place at the hand of a police officer, but things was real heightened, and it was real. It was a difficult moment at this time, and I got pulled over in some small town here in North Carolina. I can't remember which one it was, but it's a little small town. And the cop pulls me over, and I'm like, okay, here we go, so boom, all windows go down, hands is on the steering wheel, and he comes up to the passenger side of the car, and he's looking in, and he is visibly shaken. I mean, he had his hand on his gun, and it was visibly shaken. And so I took two breaths. I took a deep breath, and I began to talk to this officer. I didn't say, "What you pull me over for? You just pulling me over because I'm black." I didn't go into that. I didn't go there because all that would have done was it would have just obviously he was already nervous, right? And for me to approach it in that way, it would have just made matters worse. So I addressed him as sir, officer, and in a very calm voice, I just explained to him, where I was coming from and this, that, and the other. Why you asking me all these questions? What you pull me over for? I ain't bother going there. Man, dude, just let me go. He said, "Okay, you're all set. Whatever, whatever, whatever." And I'm gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna tell you why he pulled me over. I never forget it. I had met an individual on Facebook Marketplace, right? And they had an Apple Watch for sale. And so I met them at the gas station, right? And so I'm there at the gas station, and I'm like, I'm here. I don't see you. They said, "Oh, I'm around back." So I'm like, okay, now this is getting kind of sketchy. And so I went around to the back of the gas station where they were parked. I pulled in head first. They were backed in, and so they had the Apple Watch, oh gosh, and the accessories and a manila envelope, okay? And it was folded and everything. So I'm looking at the watch, and I'm trying to get it to connect before I take off because I'm not trying to buy something that was attached to another account. You all know how that goes, right? And so two twos, I look and I see the officer pull in, and now he's over there and he's watching. So I made sure I kind of do one of these numbers. I got I'm looking at the watch and everything, and it finally connected. They got in their car and took off. I got in my car and I proceeded to take off as well. Now I'm behind them. They took a left. I took a right. Guess which way the cop went? He took a right behind me. And so I knew I was getting pulled. I already knew it was gonna happen. When I seen him over there and I realized what this looked like, I knew what was getting ready to happen. I mean, let's be real. It looked like some kind of shady deal taking place behind a gas station. And so anyway, my point is, we should not give the devil a stick to beat us with. If he would have gave me a ticket, I would have taken the ticket and just would have been about my, went about my way. But there are many situations that we can de-escalate, we can dissolve, we can diffuse, we can redirect, and the list goes on and on and on. But we have to seize that moment when it comes. We're talking about health and wellness. Okay, if you don't want to be old and decrepit, now you can't do nothing about the fact that you will get old, but you can do something about being old and decrepit. hmm Get up off the couch, leave the ice cream where it is, and take a walk. You say, "Oh well, I ain't walked in years." Well, ain't no time like the present. And so, ladies and gentlemen, saints and ain'ts, everybody, including Lottie Dottie, I believe that when we begin to at least become aware of our health, things automatically begin to change. When you are conscious of the fact that your blood pressure is borderline, an issue or a problem, you might slow down on the fried chicken. Now, fried chicken is one thing, but fried chicken is another. So I'm just saying, man. I want you to live a long life as I do as well. I told you the other day, I'm saved, sanctified, Holy Ghost filled, fire baptized, got Jesus on my side, and I'm running for my life. But I ain't ready to go to heaven. As nice as they tell me that it is, and I believe it is, I ain't ready to go. Is there anything wrong with that? I got a beautiful wife. I got two awesome children. I got a gorgeous little grandbaby. I got sisters and brothers. My mom is still here. A host of aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews. I got some good brothers that, look, I'm just saying, I'm enjoying the ride. Now, when he calls me from earth to glory, yes, Lord, yes. Yes, Lord, yes. Yes, Lord, yes. Yes, Lord. Yeah. Okay, all right, all right. I'm going on. I'm going up yonder to be with the Lord. But until then, I'm gonna enjoy life here. My uncle told my mother many years ago, God rest his soul, the one and only, the Honorable Bishop Roscoe Jones, also known as Uncle Bobo. He's gone on to be with the Lord. But he told my mother years ago, don't ever be so heavenly bound that you're no earthly good. I still got work to do here, as do you. Okay, and so let us begin to pay attention to our health. Instead of taking the elevator, take the steps. Take the steps. You'll find out a lot of times it's quicker anyway. But there are little things that we can do instead of parking right up in front at the stove in the handicap space, and you don't even have a handicap placard. Park a little further, making yourself get a few extra steps in throughout the day. Get you a little smartwatch. I didn't say you had to be smart. I just said get a smartwatch. Get you a little smartwatch and and start taking note of your steps throughout the day. And then start simple. Maybe see if you can, do 50 more steps than you did yesterday. I'm just saying. There are little things that we can do that can go a long way. Okay? And so if we would begin to acknowledge our current health, we can then position ourselves and shift as necessary to do something to make sure that it gets better. Okay. And my gosh, you will be surprised at how much better you feel even at the attempt of doing the right thing for you. I'm gonna pause for the cause because I want to encourage somebody for 2023 to make you a priority. Yeah, make you a priority. Now, I didn't say that making you a priority means that you begin to ignore everybody else. I did not say that. That's not what I'm saying. The show yesterday was "Don't put words in my mouth," right? Okay, so don't put words in my mouth. But what I am saying is you've got to make you a priority. Okay, that doesn't mean that you zero in on just one area either, because if we become lopsided, then we have not made us ourselves a priority, but we have potentially harmed ourselves. Anything out of balance is going to fall sooner or later. Mhm. Yeah, anything out of balance will fall sooner or later. And since I'm there, I saw a video yesterday, and a guy he was on the interstate. He was on his Harley Davidson. It was a Road King, and he was getting it right. And guy on the street bike, he came by. The Harley passed the guy on the street bike, and next thing you know, you see the guy tumbling on the floor, but his motorcycle continued to go forward, and it kind of as it slowed, it started to kind of and it went between a car and a truck. It hit both of those, and then finally it fell. What's my point? My point is some of us are falling not only because we are not properly balanced, but some of us are falling because we have simply slowed down. Yeah, see these motorcycles, man, they're pretty well balanced, and what that means is really as long as there's power to that back wheel and it's going, it's gonna stay up. A motorcycle doesn't go down the road at 30 miles an hour and just decide to fall over. It's a well balanced machine. It begins to fall when it stops or when it slows down and gravity begins to have more effect than thrust. Come on, somebody, and or momentum, and so that's what many of us have experienced in life. You're a pretty well balanced individual. You have a pretty good understanding of most things you encounter. Your problem is you have slowed down because of the hateration. You have slowed down because of what they've been saying, and you have stopped paying attention to your dream because you're too busy listening to their nightmare. And so I want to encourage you to make you a priority in 2023. Get up off the couch. Yep. Burn those slides because they just broke and the house coat along with it. Man, when I tell you I went to the store yesterday, I didn't go to the store. I went to the store. Y'all go to the store, but I went to the store. I pulled up to the store. I don't even remember which one it was. And a matter of fact, I was coming out of the store and I was sitting in the car getting ready to crank it up. And this young lady comes walking in the store. She was with what appeared to be maybe her boyfriend or husband and her son. Ladies, when I tell you, and gentlemen, when I tell you, that couldn't have been anybody in my family. She had on slippers. She had on some woolly looking pajama pants. And she had on a house coat that looked like it rolled down 38 fields of corn or something. I mean, to tell you, it just is dingy. And I sat there and I said, I said it out loud. I said, you got to be kidding me. I mean, okay, all right. We got to get up off the couch. But when you get off the couch, take off the pajamas, put on some clothes, look like you're going somewhere, But just all seriousness, we've got to get up from the knockdown. We've got to get up from the setback. I heard somebody say your setback was a setup for your comeback. Okay. And you only fell over because you ceased to create momentum. Hold on, let me say that correctly. I said that wrong. You only fell over because you ceased to maximize the momentum that you were experiencing. And I get it. In the midst of momentum, sometimes there is uncertainty. In the midst of momentum, sometimes we wonder, how long is this going to, go on for? A certain individual comes to mind that will remain nameless, but they were always at their worst when things were best. Because when things were going good, that's when they was like, well, something bad gonna happen sooner or later. I'm like, are you crazy? Just work with the momentum while you can. But if you begin to focus on what could go wrong when everything is going right, what you're doing is you're sabotaging your own momentum. Well, I don't want to go on no more dates with him because, and true story, I worked at a particular place and there was this young lady that worked there as well. And she was probably young enough to be my daughter. And she was talking about, dating and everything. And she literally began to explain that she broke up with a guy because he was too nice. She said, yeah, he opens the door and he always calls me to check on me, make sure I got home and this and that. And now she wasn't describing clinginess or whatever y'all call it. When you say folks too clingy or whatever. No, that's not what she was describing. What she was describing was what seemed to be a young man that was raised with morals, principles, and respect. And she wasn't used to that. And so I couldn't believe it. And so as she began to explain, the situation was she felt that it was being put on and it would end sooner or later. And so therefore she just, ended it before it just, I don't know. What I'm trying to say, folks, is even if it sounds too good to be true, sometimes you just got to work with it while you can. I mean, just, work with it while you can, because it might not be too good to be true. It might be exactly what the doctor ordered. Okay. So health and wellness is something that we need to focus on. And again, to be well, it's a place of satisfaction. The woman who the man of God came through, I think it was Elijah, might have been Elijah or Elisha. But anyway, when he came through, her and her husband had a conversation. Okay, Old Testament. They had a conversation, and she says, "I perceive that this is a true man of God." Right, and so she wanted to build an attachment onto their house so that when he come through, he had a place to stay, and she did that. And so he says, "What can I do for you? You've been nice to me," and I'm paraphrasing. "What can I do for you?" And so he found out that she was without child. And so he said, I believe his words were, by this time next year or something to that effect, you're going to have a child. Okay. So she has this child. And one day the child is out in the field working with the father, and he has an extreme headache. And so the daddy sends him home to the mother, and the son dies. He dies. She tells her servant, she says, saddle the ass and don't slow down unless I tell you. She was on her way to go see the man of God, you know. And when she gets there, they asked her, is it well? And or they asked her how she was doing or something like that. Is everything all right? Yeah, they asked her if everything was all right. And you know what her response was? Her response was, it is well. It is well. To be well, ladies and gentlemen, is a state of gratitude. It's a state of a state of understanding, and that's a mouthful right there. A state of understanding doesn't mean you are pleased with what you understand, you know. But I understand, okay. And since I understand, come on, somebody, then I know that I may be cast down, but I'm not destroyed. Okay. And so there are some people who have good health. There are some people who have lots of money, but they're not well. You know, anything can rock their world, mentally, and internally. Maybe I should just put it that way. Can rock their world internally. Okay. Because what happens internally sometimes goes undetected or unnoticed externally until it all begins to come apart and or explode. Okay. So yeah, wellness is something that we, excuse me, health, of course, our body and everything, and we can take control over that, and as we can for our wellness as well. But we need to give it to God. The Bible tells us, if we lean not to our own understanding, but in all of our ways acknowledge Him, that He would direct our path. I'm gonna leave you on that note, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to realize in 2023, if you've never done it before, it is crucial that you begin to acknowledge Him in all of your ways. Because if you do so, He will direct your path. It's your boy Retro with you on today. It's been fun, but I've got to run. You ain't got to go. What they used to say, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get up out of here. You know, and so I am home, but I got to get up out of here because I got some stuff I got to do. But we thank you for taking time out of your morning, out of your afternoon to be with us on today. Now today is Thursday, so we will be back tonight, and we will have some of the team members with us from Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. On Thursdays, we always talk about stuff pertaining to motorcycle ministry primarily. Of course, everything we discuss and deal with is applicable across the board. I believe that we have to minister to the total man. And I learned that from my late pastor, Bishop Marion Ezekiel Shaw, years ago. I heard him say that one time, and I just really zoned in on it. That was a nugget right there. That was a nugget. We have to minister to the total man, okay? To the total man, not just the spiritual aspect of things, but the total man. And we also see Jesus be an example in that regards as well. But anyway, on tonight we will gather together with some of the other members of Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry. We're going to talk a little bit about the Genesis ride. We had a great time on Sunday as we took our first ride of the year. It was a very encouraging ride. And so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the who Kingdom Alignment is, and where we're going. So we'll share some of those things with you guys on tonight. Levi Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, is in the building. Let's make some noise for my man 50 grand. Bada boom, bada bang. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you on this morning, man. Good to see you. We got a chance to chit chat this morning, and I love it, man. I love it, man. How good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. Look at here, man. We need each other in this thing called life. We need each other in this thing called life. But we'll talk a little bit more about that on tonight, man. So make sure you guys, put it on your calendar to join us on tonight. We're gonna cut up a little bit, I'm sure, because that's just what we do, man. But I didn't say you had to be saved and be mad. I just said, you look at. He said, "I come that you might have life and that more abundantly." Some folk don't need a revival; they need to just go to a comedy club and just laugh real good. Laughter is like medicine to the soul. Yeah, sometimes you got some stuff that needs to be broke up. You know, God can't even move in the midst of all that mess. But anyway, we appreciate you, man. We appreciate you very much. You already know what it is. This coming Monday, we got the one and only Shakila Boosie will be in the building, aka the Mileage Bully. Shout outs to her and congratulations. She is either still in Memphis or making her way back to Virginia, but she's in the process of starting another school, the Moto Mob, up in Memphis, Tennessee. So again, shout out to her on that endeavor there. She is doing the thing, doing the doggone thing. Let me see if this is the right one here. Make sure. There we go.
That's a vibe. Yeah. That's a vibe. It's a vibe. And that's a vibe.
So we wanna give proper
vibe. That's a vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, but we want to give a shout out to Shakila Boosie. She'll be with us on this coming Monday at 8 p.m. here on the Retro Philosophy Show. We'll be chopping it up about all things Moto Mob and even more. Hear a little bit more about her vision. Hear a little bit about her story. You know, she's a very interesting young lady, and we're looking forward to chopping it up with her. Want to give a shout out to my man Preach Breed in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise. We got a special show coming up. He will be our special guest / co-host for that show. Keep your ears peeled. I'll be releasing the information for that in terms of the day and the time. We got a special day for a special brother for a special show. It's going to be on and cracking. I promise you it will be, man. I promise you it will be. All right, guys, I'm going to get up out of here. Once again, shout out to the Kingdom Alignment Motorcycle Ministry crew, the family, and everybody for pressing play. We will see you guys on the next go round.
That's a vibe. Yeah. That's a vibe. It's a vibe.
Y'all make sure y'all check out the Retro Philosophy Show on YouTube with my man Retro. Like, subscribe, comment, share, copy the link, put it on Instagram in your bio, put it on your Facebook page. Send it to your mama, text it to somebody. But y'all make sure y'all follow this page, Retro Philosophy.
Good evening, good morning, good night, good day. It's your boy Retro. Thank you for pressing play.
Say, man, you know what it is, man. Special guest in the building. Much love and respect to my man Retro stopping through, y'all. Y'all know what to do.
Big Cell. You still keeping it 100.